Hey Gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk, a discussion about all things automotive. I'm Cory.
And I'm Matt. And each week this podcast will serve as a catalyst for discussion on all sorts of topics that grind our gears, rev our engines, or just need a bit more conversation.
This week. You take it
you
away,
want me
Matt.
to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. This week, we made contact with an awesome guy, Rob Kibbe from the Muscle Car Place.
Yes.
From Kibbe and Friends.
Yes.
And Kibbe and Finnegan Show.
Yes.
He's had several different podcasts.
Absolutely.
He's got a website. He's been to SEMA with one of his cars.
Been
He's
on the cover of magazines with
Hot Rod Power Tour, like all kinds of crazy, wild, awesome stuff. And we get to dig into a little bit of that through conversation with Rob this week. Thank you again, Rob. It was a really, really cool conversation, and let's just jump into it.
Absolutely.
We have the distinct pleasure of sitting down this week with Rob Kibbe of Kibbe and Friends and the Muscle Car Place and like 37 other podcasting and this and that and all kinds of stuff that you're involved in.
Yes.
Thanks so much
resume.
for yeah. Thank you so much for carving out some time for us and coming on and sitting down with us.
Yeah, my pleasure. And I'm very good at succeeding for a long period of time and not quitting, even though God knows I should have several times over.
Is it
but
persistence?
I like it, so I just don't quit.
Yeah. That's awesome. No, I actually ran into you or found you on YouTube when you were doing Kibbe and Finnegan Show.
Sure.
I was following a lot of Finnegan stuff and Roadkill and all that.
He came well adorned.
I did. My Stubby Bob shirt and my FS.
Tell him.
Yeah. But I instantly gravitated towards the banter that you guys have, obviously, and then I've since dug into some of the other stuff. I've been listening to a lot of the Muscle Car Place. I don't currently own a muscle car, but I want one. So it's always fun information and good information on any of the podcasts that I listen to from you. And how long have you been doing podcasting? And I'll admit I did creep a little bit. I know you have to prepare for the interviews and all that stuff, so you look into the backgrounds and stuff like that. I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're originally an engineer and then have started since doing podcasting and whatnot?
So all true. And I don't know how much you prepared, but I can tell you I've prepared 2 minutes once for some of the best interviews I've ever had.
Maybe that's the key.
Time to go, I can answer all that. So, Rob Kibbe. I'm from Ames, Iowa. I'm an engineer by education.
Okay.
So, and I, like a lot of people, I went to college and I know what I want to do with my life. So I just got a degree in something that I thought was a good idea. And mechanical engineering, if it weren't for that, I probably would have done music.
Yeah.
Those are kind of my two big loves.
Nice.
And I was very involved in both. First 10 years of my career was just straight up working for corporate industry. Worked for a consulting company out of Canada for like a year and a half. I lived out of a suitcase. Didn't care for that.
Yeah.
Went and worked for a defense company in Minneapolis doing similar work, but at least I had like the same zip code on my mail, which was nice. And getting married was a whole lot easier there because my wife I wasn't married when I lived in Canada, and my girlfriend, now wife, was not super hip on that kind of lifestyle. Yeah. And then several years of that, ended up moving back to where we started from, which is Iowa. And that was totally for family reasons. My mother had a terminal cancer, just wanted to be closer to home. Didn't really care where we lived, just wanted to be closer. And it ended up bringing us to our college town. And that's about 100 miles from my hometown. And got to spend the last few months of our life just closer. And the work I was doing back here in Iowa was kind of in the same field, just kind of the next phase. And I just had a sinking feeling that I was in the wrong line of work. And I wasn't super excited about climbing the career ladder where I was. And not because that was not a good place to work, and not because I was mistreated, and it was a good job,
Right.
and I liked who I worked with, but there had to be more.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and if I wasn't cut out for something different, I kind of wanted to figure it out soon.
Yeah.
So I'll skip a lot of it, but I wanted to go out on my own, and I had done enough to know that small business was kind of my thing. I at least liked it. So I started up, not a podcast company. I started a classifieds muscle car website.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought there was a little niche. And in 2009, when I launched this, there was a little niche. That was before Facebook Marketplace, bring a trailer. What is it? Wheeler Dealer was barely online. I mean, it was me and like two other guys. One of us is going to win, and I didn't.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I started doing a weekly podcast to promote it because I didn't frankly have the time to do YouTube or video, and I didn't know much about it. And I just liked the audio space. Like, I just dig it.
Yeah.
Podcasts were super early then. I mean, the only car show that I can even remember back then was Car Talk, Click and Clack, NPR. So I thought, this is my window. And I had no idea if podcasts were powerful. I didn't know if you'd get a big follow. Not a clue. Yeah. I just wanted to try it. And I started trying that on a weekly basis starting in May of 2009, and I haven't stopped since.
Holy cow.
And after about a year and a half, the classifieds business was clearly not going to happen. Like, I was just getting smoked by all the big guys. I can't tell you how much it sucked to call classic car dealers and try to sell them a package, to list on your website. They always knew what you wanted. Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
and I always had the sinking feeling like, I don't want to sell to you either, and you don't want to buy it from me. So, would you like an interview? And that was always fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So switched my whole business model in 2011, January of 2011. Left my real job, went out on my own, and that's been the case ever since. This is not the only business that I'm a part of.
Okay.
But the podcast space is one that I just really like.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys can relate.
Absolutely. To the entire story.
Yeah.
I just quit my job the last week. So
you'll meet people you could never meet otherwise. You'll make the best friends of your life who you may never meet in person. In some cases, there are some people that I've known for 10 years and I've never seen them before.
Wow.
That's crazy.
But we are best friends.
Yeah.
So we branched out in a number of shows. Kibbe and Finnegan show was one of those shows. I had no idea who Mike Finnegan was when I met him. But he and I were bored at the same place at the same time. and we just got along. I didn't know he was a big deal. I did one for LS Engines. I did one for Pro Touring. I mean, I can go on and on, but so that's the rundown 10, 12 years later. And I have no idea how many episodes or whatever. That's what I do.
Well, just on the Muscle Car Place, you're 467 episodes in as of May 14th, the most current episode, which it's just incredible. This will be episode 68, 69, something like that. So the triple digit thing we haven't even come close to yet. So it just blows my mind that you've been doing this for that long and that you're incredibly successful at it. And again, I love the content. I love the people that you have on the regular. So one of the niche things that we've kind of gotten into is the interviews, having people on to share their stories. And it was one of the reasons I wanted to reach out to you and have you on too. So I know you have Kibbe and Friends is focused primarily on reviewing the Dukes of Hazzard episodes and more pop culture.
Pride.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Friends. Oh, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. And you have a spectacular, and I'm going to try and get this right, season 2 replica of the General.
Oh yes. So here's the dirty little secret of why you want to go into business for yourself. You can finally write off the stuff that you really want.
Yes.
And it's legit, right? And it is the dumbest way to go about it, but it's still worth it.
So, I love it.
Yes. So for the Kibbe and Finnegan show, when we launched that, so what what I had told Mike is like, I want a pop culture show.
Yeah.
I have an interview show already in the muscle car place, and that's fine. But I just want a buddy show, and our hook is going to be pop culture. So car shows, car movies, car whatever. And we just both happen to love the Dukes of Hazzard because we're the same age.
Yeah.
That's what we grew up with. If we were 10 years younger, it'd be something different, but it wasn't. So here's my chance to get it generally. And I had been planning that moment since I was 6. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew what I was hunting for. And the more I got into cars, the more I was on the lookout. And if you're a Dukes of Hazzard fan, so there are 7 seasons of the Dukes of Hazzard. The first season is very, very short. The last season was kind of mercifully killed. Like it was canceled because they had like one where they had an alien in it and they were using miniature cars. Ignore those.
Yeah.
What you want to do is focus on the seasons that you love. And I loved the earlier seasons. So this is late 70s, early 80s. The production quality is super sloppy. Yeah. They're using 68 and 69 Chargers. And they would put like 69 Charger taillights in a 68. And if the side markers are different, there's so many things that are different. Any car person could spot them. But they would just shoot the thing orange, like side markers, turn signals, and all of it. And I loved that. So what I wanted was a good version of that era. And the thing that makes that era kind of something people don't want to replicate is actually twofold. Number one is the push bar on the nose. So
right.
the generally accurately has a push bar, which was used in dirt late models in the late 60s, early 70s. I don't know who came up with that concept, but they were right to do that. I have pictures from in Iowa, in dirt tracks in Iowa, of 68, 69 Chargers running push bars. Wow. They didn't look like the General Lee one, but they were push bars for sure. So it's kind of a hard push bar to mock. It was probably made off of a Toyota pickup of that era. And then, one thing led to another, and they were making their own templates and stuff like that. And the second is the highly inconsistent interior. In that era, sometimes it was tan, sometimes it was brown. Sometimes it almost looked black, and it was never the same, and it was always crappy, which I liked.
Yeah.
69 Chargers didn't come with a brown interior. That just wasn't a thing. They came with a saddle interior, or they came with a black interior, but you couldn't from the factory get a brown interior. So I didn't care. What I wanted to do was make the version of the car in real life of what it looked like on the screen. So that's the car I got. My friend Nathan Warren, who was a show listener, he reached out, and he's got a body shop. And he was totally willing to go all nerd, and did it. The interior is brown. It's actually a Mopar color from the early 70s.
Okay.
My co-host of Kibbe and Friends is Justin Corndog Cornett. He gave me everything I need to know that I didn't have already or couldn't find.
Okay.
Paste off powerful friends.
To totally replicate the real hero car. So the real hero cars, plural,
yes,
were all different. And I replicated the most common one with a 383.
Okay.
So when I wanted to buy generally, what I was looking for was any decent Charger with a 383.
Nice.
And the rest I could change.
Yeah.
And I ended up, from another listener, finding one in my freaking hometown, 100 miles away. So from where I went, like as a kid, it was 10 minutes.
Wow.
Was where I bought this car. And it was already a General Lee replica. But it was not a very good General Lee replica. It was painted, and it had a big block, and everything else sucked.
Yeah.
And that was just perfect for me. It was a manual steering, 4-wheel drum brake, auto on the column, goofy E-body rear end. Just all sorts of corners had been cut in making it. And the person I bought it for was very upfront about that. He knew all of that. That was just how he obtained it. But it had a lot of good things about it. The orange was right. The decals, for the most part, for my season 2 were right. And most of the parts that were on it that I wanted to keep were good.
Sweet.
So I was all in. And I have that car to this day. Now it's got a Holley fuel injection system on it that looks pimpin' period correct. When you pop the hood, unless you know what you're looking at, you can't tell. It runs way better.
Yeah.
That. It's got a 4L60 automatic in it from Silver Sport with this. And the reason that's cool is because you don't have to cut your transmission tunnel at all.
Nice.
It's kind of like they got their own version of a bell housing on that. They're tucked in there. But yeah, man, I have a no holds barred General Lee.
That's awesome.
In this day and age, you can, the question I usually get asked is, have I ever had any trouble because of that?
Right.
And the answer is no, but I've also never tried to get into trouble with it. Like I certainly didn't show up at any, peace rallies or, or riots in process. Nothing. No. Just know your role. Stay away from stuff like that. But you go to a car show and you'll be just fine.
So it sounds, if I'm hearing you correctly, that the Dukes of Hazzard are probably the reason you are into cars.
Yeah. That's 100% true. I, with everybody else that was born in the mid 70s, would probably relate. There's no doubt about it.
I will say, so we have done 2 years now of a Dream Car Bracket Challenge for March Madness. Can I say that on the air without? Yeah. And it is surprising how far the General made it in both years. It made it in, what did I say, the Final Four?
It was the Final Four the first year, and I think the Final
Elite Eight.
Yeah, the Elite Eight in the second year.
So there is still a very passionate fan base, even amongst our listeners and our following for that vehicle. So, yes.
And, that show was on like 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
At some point, it will lose context. And I assume that would have happened already, but it just hasn't.
Yeah.
I don't know when that day it will come, but right now I have yet to go anywhere with it that I don't end up taking somebody's selfie with it or helping them or, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
So I will say we live in Tyler, Texas. I've hunted and hunted. I know I took a picture of it in our mall parking lot, probably in 2009 was the last time I saw it. You were talking about bad replicas. I saw the worst replica. It was a Dodge Dynasty painted up like the General. It was so bad, and they owned it.
It was a Dodge, though, right? I mean,
right.
That's
yeah.
I've seen a Fairmont once. Lots of Beetles.
Oh yeah.
Somebody's got a smart car that's called the General Wii. I think.
I'll give them props for that one. That one's at least clever.
Who won the brackets the last 2 years?
So the inaugural was a match of the C8 Corvette against the Ferrari 812 Superfast, and the Italian won. So that was interesting. And then last year, or this year, I guess, as the case would be, was the Ford GT. So it was actually knocked out by it was knocked out by the C8 Corvette in the very first round of voting last year and came back to win it all this year. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I think the C8 would have it even more on its side 1 year later, but what do I know?
Yeah. And they're fan submitted cars. It's just we reach out and we say, give us your dream car, what you dream to own, and then fan vote all the way to the winner. So very interesting competition each year.
Cool.
It's a whole lot of fun. The other car that you talk a lot about, and this one fits probably a little more in the muscle car place element with some of the racing you do, and it's kind of what catapulted you into the muscle car place gaining so much traction is your 64 Chevelle.
Yeah.
And
100%.
That's a little more on Cory's side. He's the Chevrolet guy of the two of us.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that car and kind of how that has influenced where you're at today.
Okay, so the Dukes of Hazzard may have got me into cars, but the car that was my first love is that 64 Chevelle. So I have a 64 Chevelle that my mom and dad bought new.
Oh.
And I think they only bought 2 new cars in their whole life. They got that one just a few months after they were married. My dad was in the Navy so they were not living together at the time. So he was in the Navy and deployed, and she was at home in Kansas. So he on leave went to some California Chevy dealer, drove it around like this is good. Called her, and then she did the ordering and the deal making.
Wow!
And bought that car new.
Awesome.
So it was, and still is, a 64 Chevelle Malibu 2-door sport coupe, and the coupe is important. There's no post.
Okay.
And it was originally a 283 2-barrel Power Glide, auto on the column, bench seat car, AM radio, seat belts, and no air. And that was the car that I fell in love with. But by the time I fell in love with it, it was an Iowa car and was ruined, rotten, should have been thrown away. Just horrible. It had been hit by a drunk driver on one side. And why it held together is still confusing to this day. Like, it had a 65 Chevelle door on it from getting hit in a mall parking lot or something like that. So my dad just got another white door out of a junkyard, but 65 doors and 64 doors aren't the same. Yeah. They're close-ish, but then they're not the same. So that was the car I really wanted to restore with him to drive in high school. And we did do that, but like barely. Like, I drove it to prom, and like it was missing a lot of stuff. but it did run, and the only major mod that I had made to it that I had time to was to yank the power glide out and put in a 4-speed.
Nice.
And I just got a junkyard 4-speed. I think it was a Saginaw or something like that. And I just wanted a manual transmission, and it had headers. And then I drove it that way for a long time, and then, put better suspension on. I mean, this was the 90s, dudes. There was no Hotchkiss suspension back then. I mean, this was, cut coils or do whatever you want, or box things if you want to figure it out on your own. But by the late 90s, you could start to buy some good stuff.
Yeah.
So went with bigger wheels, power steering, front power disc brakes. I mean, it was rolling and cool, right? So, I mean, it was pretty awesome. And then for the muscle car place, bada bing, one more excuse to buy a bunch of stuff, legally that I can expense. And the podcast business is the reason that the car is the way it is today. So when I took my business full time in January of 2011, this listener named Jeff Allison, who is now my brother from another mother, wrote me and said, "I'm launching my dream business too. I've been listening to you. I feel like I know you. You said one of your dreams is to race cars, and I'd like to help you build your dream car.
Wow.
And I'll donate the labor, all of it." So, and he said, "I just want to showcase my shop and my work." So I called him, and I said, "Look, I'm not going to say any of this on the record, but this is a terrible idea. You should not start a shop. Your wife's going to leave you. These things don't make money. It's all fantasy talk. The magazines have lied to you. I promise you." And he goes, No. Look, I'm a captain for a major airline. Like, I'm doing fine. I have built cars for a long time, mostly for myself. Why don't I fly you out here to where I live in New Mexico, and we can just meet, and if you think this is up to snuff, we can move forward. So, that seems good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's if a total stranger gets you a flight, you should take it.
Yeah.
So I did. So I went out, and I promise you that he was the brother I never had. It was a done deal 3 seconds in. And then over the course of a year and a half, I was kind of the general contractor at that point. I said, "Here's what I want to do. Here's how I want to do it." I got every part. I lined up every sponsorship. I could get every deal. He built the chassis. He modded the body. Full floor pans, full quarters. Again, this is the third time the car has been totally done.
Good grief.
Mini tubbed. Chopped up a Ford 9-inch to do like what most Chevelle people don't do, especially not on those early, 64, 65 is the hardest to get wheel and tire under. It was one of the first cars I know of to have 295s on the tail, which is nothing by today's standards. But then it was big money, and it's still a 64 Chevelle. It's still hard to get that much wheel and tire under it. Built an LS3 for it, 6-speed Tremec in it. But it still looks like my mom and dad's brand new car. I did not go crazy. I did not shave the door handles. He wanted to shave the drip rail so bad. and I said, "Do it on the next guy's car." I want every piece of chrome back on the car.
Yeah.
And then another company called Street Metal Concepts, who I was introduced, you guessed it, through a listener, helped me do all the paint and body in time to take the car to the 2013 SEMA show. And same deal. They said, "Look, we can't donate our labor, but we can do it at a discounted rate. And we need, we're going out on a limb here, but we'll put our best work into it just so we can get it showcased."
Yeah.
So what I ended up with was this SEMA dream car, way overkill on what I ever thought, wanted, hoped, or dreamt.
Wow.
And it did. It went to the SEMA show. It was a bunch of it was the cover car for Super Chevy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bizarre how awesome that experience was. And it's still today, I could go to SEMA again. And I drive it a lot, and I race it like hard. Like I'm not afraid of breaking it or hurting myself. I just want to know how fast can I go? And now it's to the point where it's, pro touring has evolved so much in the last 8 years. It's a heavy car. It's a 4,000-pound car without me in it.
Yeah.
I'm just about to put adjustable shocks on it. Right now, nothing's adjustable. And I've driven enough. Everybody thinks they're the world's greatest driver, but I've driven enough to know that there ain't nothing more to try. I either got to pull weight out, or I got to put better adjustable shocks in, or I got to get more front. I got to do something.
Yeah.
This car won't go faster, at least not with me behind the wheel. So that's where it is now. But that car is it's a dog to me. Like it's not even a car. It will never leave our family. It's the last possession I own that I would ever sell.
Yeah.
And I still wouldn't sell it.
Yep.
Like it's too important. Too important. Does that answer whatever question you asked?
That's fantastic. That was exactly what I was hoping to get. Yeah.
All right, Gearheads, I'm putting it on the record right now. I want a 69 Camaro. Let's work something out here.
Anybody with connections. Yeah. No,
Man,
that's
awesome.
all
the wrong moves, man. I mean, I could have bought another car
right.
4 times over for what I invested in it. And that was still with all these wonderful deals that people gave me that they didn't need to do. And that's not the point. The DNA, the soul of my car is still in it and never left it. And that's why we do these horribly dumb things.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Too cool.
Matt, you're salivating over
Yeah, I am. Most definitely. So I had to call my dad earlier this week to get a few details. I have actually distant relatives that live not too far from you.
Oh, yeah?
I have a great aunt and uncle that live in Albion.
Albia?
It's right outside of Marshalltown. Albion, Albion.
I believe you. I'm sure there's a lot of little towns. Is it pretty little?
Well, and that was what it's a little bitty, like 500 population. It's microscopic.
Blink and you miss it.
It is. I just Wikipedia'd it. Population 570, but it is there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then just around the corner from there in Melbourne was where my grandmother was born. And
really?
So I'm looking at the map because I'm talking to my dad. I pulled this up. I'm looking at the map and I'm going, why was she born? Like, were they on their way to Marshalltown or what? He said, no, they weren't going to the hospital. She was born at home.
Yeah, that's the way they
were
used
all
to do
born
it.
at home on the farm. And then the next day they got up and, started helping with the cows and whatever else. So, I thought that was kind of wild how close we are or family is to each other.
Cue the It's a Small World music right now.
It is. Yeah, it's just northwest of Marshalltown. Yeah, this is 60 miles from me or less.
That's crazy.
Wow.
That's so crazy.
How about that?
Small world. So when I come visit my great aunt and uncle, I'll send you an email, see if I can stop in and see the General and the Chevelle for sure.
Oof.
Yeah, hit me up.
Yeah.
I will be here somewhere. If I'm not here, the cars will be. So just see them.
Yeah, fantastic.
Well, you kind of hit on it as you've been talking and as your career has progressed. We just got the opportunity to meet in person someone that we've had on our show twice in Cory, a Texas country music star. And that is not only the miracle of current technology, but the miracle of podcasting and why we kind of got into this and got excited about it just as you did is all the interesting people you get to meet and the stories you get to tell and share and hear. And so I've just been sitting here grinning the whole time, listening to your background and what got you into cars. And I'd like to see that Chevelle one day too.
Most definitely.
There is a Good Guy show I think it's in Fort Worth, right? At Texas Motor Speedway.
Yes, coming up very soon.
I've had that one circled for years because the producer of my show, guess it, a former listener.
Right.
He lives in the Dallas area. His name's Bernie McPartland.
Okay.
And Texas has all the greatest car shows too. Texas has a lot of the greatest everything, frankly.
Well, of course.
Yeah, that would be a good one to hit.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, as I mentioned before we jumped into the interview, our last segment to kind of end off the discussion and segue out
It's
here
an
a little bit.
interview all unto itself.
It really is. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a segment called Random Misfire, and there's 8 questions in it because all engines should have 8 cylinders. So Cory and I will kind of, and I've gotten in trouble for that one too. We've had some. I'm an air-cooled guy. I know you have an air-cooled Volkswagen as well. So I've gotten in trouble for some air-cooled folks saying, "Hey, wait a minute." But anyway, we
you just need 2 of them, right?
Exactly. Yeah, put them together.
It takes 2 to get up to speed.
Right.
Sometimes, yeah. But Cory and I will just kind of go back and forth with these questions for you. They're just fun, goofy, off-the-wall questions, and I'm sure Cory will start with the one that he seems to think there's a wrong answer to.
Yes, I can't wait to see what I'm going to get wrong. So
We'll just get this one out of the way first. Do you name your cars?
no.
I think he's one of the first to actually
Yeah.
answer no to that
Yeah.
one. Well, one of your cars kind of already has a name.
It came named.
Yes.
Came named, yeah.
And I don't know why this is. I should, right?
Right.
Wouldn't that be the right thing to do?
Yes,
but I
yes, it would.
don't. Actually, they are named, but it's the name the manufacturer gave them.
Right.
But I will make the case to you that just like my dog Murphy, my Chevelle, if I were to call out in a parking lot of Chevelles, would blink its headlights at me.
That's
Oh
true.
yeah,
Because it knows I'm talking to it. So in my mind, its name is Chevelle.
Okay.
Actually,
enough.
I think it's the Chevelle.
right. First name, proper name. Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
All right, so I got that wrong. Was that where we landed?
We'll fudge on that one a little.
Damn. All right, 0 for 1.
All right. So with all the controversy around the Bronco that still isn't here, and
We'll never be here.
apparently we'll never be here. I'm a Bronco fan. Cory's a Wrangler fan, a Jeep fan. What say you? Would you rather have a Bronco or a Wrangler?
I'd probably rather have a Scout.
Hey, well, look at there. Throwing a curveball.
Okay.
I like them all.
Right.
There's a local company here called Anything Scout. Just Google that one sometime. I don't have anything to do with this company. It's owned by a buddy. But Scouts are like the third that everybody always mentioned. There's Bronco, there's Wrangler, there's Bronco, and then there's other stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
And I have just always had a soft spot for Scouts. Not being a Ford guy, I'd probably rather have the Jeep first. I had a buddy in high school with a Wrangler. Daisy Duke drove a Jeep.
Well, of course. Yeah.
I think the new Bronco, not the Ford Escape one, the real one,
Right.
is cool. Like, I genuinely think it's super cool. And I think it's a testament to the Wrangler, its longevity and popularity. The fact that isn't it still the most modified vehicle by the aftermarket, period, for parts availability?
Yeah.
I think what Ford's doing, and again, I'm not a Ford guy, I think what they're doing to target that with the Bronco is spot on and bitching.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
But for me personally, I'd go for a Scout.
Nice.
That's what I would like.
I approve. Yeah. So we have a annual classic car show here in town, and there was a sweet Scout at the last car show that I snapped several pics of.
There's 2 or 3 Scouts in the area that I've seen. They're sweet rigs for sure.
And just like I held out forever before I jumped into the Apple ecosystem for the reason that everyone had iPods and iTunes and all that stuff. I said, no, I'm not going to do it. And then I got one, and now I'm like all in. Yeah. I kind of feel the same way there. Like, everybody's got a Wrangler. Everybody's gonna want to have a Bronco. So yeah, be different. Think different. Apple.
I like it.
There you go. All right.
Kool-Aid of Apple.
Yeah. Oh, right. I really have. You have no idea. So, in the vein of comparing Stellantis versus Fomoco, TRX or Raptor?
Oh, the current TRX versus the current Raptor?
Or the Yes. They've talked about Raptor R with the 5.0 in it, but we've got no details yet.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go with what I can currently get brand new then, and I would definitely do the T-Rex.
Yes.
I'm not an EcoBoost fan. I do have a buddy though that has I think it's a 2012 Raptor, and I'm a fan of that Raptor.
Yeah.
For sure. And it made the industry.
Like,
everybody else is just trying to make a Raptor. I mean, they're all clear about that. But the new T-Rex, I wasn't blown away by, like in video and things like that, until I saw one in person. Like, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Oh
yeah. No question. I would love a T-Rex.
It definitely has a presence. Yeah.
So Ford just keeps reinventing themselves in the truck world. So first it was the original, and I had to clarify that now. The original Lightning created a subsegment all unto itself.
Yeah.
And then with the Raptor, they just started off thinking, we'll do this fun little thing, and it exploded in popularity.
Oh, yeah.
Now everyone's trying to make a Raptor fighter. And here they go, bringing back Lightning again as something completely different.
Electric.
Yeah. So it's very interesting to see how the leader in full-size trucks is driving the market and where they choose to innovate. So
now, is it true the new Chevy Trail Boss will be in this vein, like a Raptor fighter?
We've seen camouflage mules. We've seen all kinds of stuff. We don't even know if it's going to be called the Trail Boss or something else, something crazier. But yes, they're highly rumored to have a Raptor fighter in the works. And, Toyota teased the new Tundra with the marker lights that DOT regulates on 80-inch wide or wider vehicles.
So, is that what it is? I guess I didn't know that was the reason why. Like a trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Toyota's, teasing that they're about to jump into that pool of vehicles. So the off-road full-size truck segment is about to get insane.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's only good. I'm all good for that.
Yeah.
Most definitely. It's the best-selling segment in the nation.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it really? Wow.
It's wild.
That's because of the Ford F-Series, but whatever.
Well, and 1 in 5 F-Series trucks are sold in Texas.
Yes.
That's wild to think about too.
I still hear that Ford is the best in Texas commercial anytime we talk
Absolutely.
about it. Absolutely. Your turn.
Okay.
Come on.
All right.
I'll be over here. Let me help.
All right. So you have built the Chevelle. You've built the General. Would you rather build a rig or buy a rig?
Oh, I hate to say it, but I don't really care.
Okay.
Building it is fun for me, but I don't. I dream muscle cars. I dream pro touring stuff. I mean, it's. I can't escape it, even when I want to. I don't think about off-road rigs much. Here's what I would love: a season 2 episode of the Dukes of Hazzard takes the General Lee and lifts it, and I've always loved the way that looked.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, wouldn't it be awesome to combine a trophy truck chassis into a 69 Charger so that I could really jump it and not die?
Yeah.
So I think if I were ever to build a rig, it would actually be that. Like, it wouldn't be the traditional, like, real rig. It would just be some dumb concoction that I could jump that looks like a Charger that would make me happy.
Fantastic.
I think that would make a lot of people happy.
Yeah.
I've thought a lot about it. I've talked to Corn Dog about this for hours. I've talked to Ben Finnegan about it for quite a bit as well. We have a plan.
Yeah.
It would work. It just takes a lot of money.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
All it takes is money.
Money. Yeah.
That one little nuisance of a thing. All right. Let's see. I think we've kind of got some answers already from him on a lot of these.
Yeah.
You said music probably would have been your other line of work if you had not gone into engineering. So, favorite driving song or genre? Like, if you're just hitting the road, what are you listening to?
Oh, it's pretty eclectic. My best friend in high school was the weirdest dude ever. Like, he and when it was in high school, we had tapes, right? Mixtapes. and I had the tape deck out of an 84 Honda Accord tapped into the wiring harness in my 76 Nova so that I could have a tape deck. And I did not care what he brought as long as we got to do something together. So
nice.
And I'm a pretty conservative Christian guy at this point, but I mean, I have heard the hardest core rap you can imagine. that you pound your head to. I love pretty much all rock and roll. There are so many songs. Have you guys seen Baby Driver? Seen that movie?
Yes.
I don't know any of the songs in that movie until I had heard them in that soundtrack. That entire soundtrack will just fall to the wall driving.
Yes.
I mean, so I don't have a specific answer for you. Like I just shared like Alice Audio Slave.
Yeah.
Like Show Me How to Live. I shared that with somebody yesterday just because the video has scenes from Vanishing Point in it.
Yeah.
That song will make you drive fast.
Yes.
It'll all make you drive fast.
Muscle car and rock music kind of go hand in hand anyway. Like just that whole attitude and persona.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's see. Manual or automatic?
Manual.
You gave him one.
That was easy.
The easiest questions on the list. I was skipping through that, scrolling, trying to. All right.
Softball question.
I'm going to modify this one a little bit. Going back to your answer from build or buy, what current factory vehicle has you, I don't want to say salivating, but thinking, maybe I need to look further into that?
So fun or like practicals? Because I'm actually hunting for a minivan right now. But
there is tons of minivan love on this channel.
Full respect for the minivan.
Absolutely.
I'll give you two answers. Okay. From a minivan perspective, there are a lot of great options right now. I currently have a 2012 Honda Odyssey.
Okay.
And for the first time in my life, I'd like to unload something while it's got some value left in it instead of just driving into the ground.
Yeah.
So a new Odyssey would be an easy change up. And right now, used cars are so expensive that it's one of these rare times when buying new isn't crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Financially crazy. I mean, they're always cool, but so something like that, a Sienna, even not the Dodge Caravan, the Chrysler Pacifica. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. All good options. Looking at all of them. From a fun car perspective, though, the most practical thing that I could get brand new would be a new Charger.
Nice.
And that it doesn't come in a stick, which sucks for me because I want a stick. But
if you get the Hellcat, you won't really care. We can tell you from experience. If you get the Hellcat, it doesn't.
It would be fine.
Yeah.
The 4-door component though is probably the bigger deal. I haul a lot of people and kids, and it's just, damn it, easier to have a 4-door and a nice big trunk and all that stuff you need.
Most definitely.
Right now, the deals on the Scat Packs, slab bodies, so not the wide bodies, even though the wide bodies are way cooler, certainly. But the slab bodies, you can put just a little more tire under those, and those are, you can buy those mid to high 30s if you're shopping right.
Yeah.
Brand new.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. With was it 485 horsepower or something crazy like that?
Whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy.
All right, close us out here.
Last question.
8. Yeah, you're making 8 here.
I gotta come up with a good one. All right. More tech or less tech?
For like my life?
Well, in general, but specifically in vehicles. Do you like the new like the Apple CarPlay and the lane departure stuff, or
okay, we're talking about cars still.
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah.
Realistically, probably more.
Yeah.
I am not an early adopter of tech in cars, but I absolutely appreciate. Like I can tell you, the first car I got in that had Apple CarPlay in it, like, this is so much better. Where the hell has this been?
Yeah,
I love it. I can not, stare at my phone all the time. Yeah, probably more. The day will come when the car doesn't need the driver at all.
Yeah.
And that will be a sad day.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
But I don't mind the tech ride. I like the new minivan I'm shopping for. I want every freaking toy I can find in it. They're all great. Do you like the departure lane stuff? I've driven enough rental cars that I usually turn that off. That kind of annoys me.
I do. Matt says leave it all behind.
I'm on the fence about it because I don't want it to be the thing that I depend on. Right. And that's what I find myself doing. Mm-hmm. If I have that turned on, the lane departure and the adaptive cruise and all that, I'm paying more attention to what's on the side of the road instead of what's in front of me. Whereas the whole point of it is to help keep you safe in case you're distracted, not because you're distracted.
Right. Yes, I absolutely turn off all the driving assists immediately because they're just frustrating to me. But I do like having my buttocks warmed, and I do like somebody to be able to call me and not to have to put a phone up to my ear, even though that's not really that big a deal. But and it's illegal in a lot of places.
Yeah. Cory uses his heated seats for keeping the pizza warm on the way home.
It does its job.
That's smart. It's just using the tools, man.
I thought
that's
it was okay. Yeah. Well, thank you so very much for spending some time with us this evening. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed the conversation as well, and look forward to more Kibbe and Friends and the Muscle Car Place and all the wonderful things that you do. Where can people find you and track you down, podcasts, and all that good stuff?
Yes, totally. So the plug. That's what I do now. Yes. TheMuscleCarPlace.com is the website.
Okay.
And that will take you to every currently produced podcast, and then you can probably look up some of the old stuff if you wish.
Okay.
Really, that's the only place you need to go. That will link you out to everywhere we publish, same places you guys publish. Actually, you guys probably are a bigger deal than I am. I just do like 5. Instagram, Facebook, it's all appropriately named with whatever the show is. So we have Instagram and Facebook for both Muscle Car Place and Kibbe and Friends. Really just go to themusclecarplace.com, and that's easy peasy.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Go from there.
That'll work.
Simple.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
I want to mention something to you guys.
Yeah.
I wish you the best with this endeavor. It is a kick-ass time to do a buddy show.
Yeah.
And clearly you're doing a buddy show. And I think one of the questions you had sent me in an email was about a show formatter. That whatever advice I gave you was advice given to me. So I don't want to take credit for it. Yeah. But it meant a lot to me, and I hope it means a lot to you for the same reason.
Absolutely.
It's to make the show that you want for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, it is such a hard fine line to walk between understanding what good criticism is from your listening audience versus just like haters. because sometimes they say things that you need to hear.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're always making the show that you love, like I listen to Kibbe and Friends sometimes just because I want to catch up. Like, oh, this was good.
Yeah.
I wish the same for you guys with everything you're going to do, both with this show and whatever you choose to expand to.
Well, thank you so much.
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, you bet.
Appreciate it. Have a good evening, and I'm sure we'll talk again in the future. Thank you.
All right. You bet. See you later.
Thank you.
Well, that was awesome.
Probably more so for you because you're the one that has been listening to him for so long and such a big fan. But truly just awesome to get to pick his brain. He's been doing this for so long. And very, very, very similar story. I'm like, did he read my biography? I just quit my job.
Right?
Like, what? So good to know we're in good company.
Absolutely.
That we're following all the right steps, so to speak. I just want to speed it up maybe a little. Yeah. But that was a fun one. Every episode where we get to talk to someone new and just meet someone new, I think is a true blast. And I hope y'all enjoy it just as much as we do because we're just, like he told us, we're going to keep making the show that we would listen to if we were scanning the podcast.
Yeah.
Whatever. You're not tuning and dial anymore. No. I'm dating myself. Wow. But we truly do. We thank you for listening each and every week. We thank you for coming back. And if you want to know more about us, go to gtgaragetalk.com. You'll find links to everything we do, cars we're driving, reviews we've done. And until next time, bye.